Hi, this is Jay P Morgan and Lars Lindstrom, and today on Trends from the Trenches, we got nothing. We have been so busy working in the trenches, and we truly have been so busy, just swamped working in the trenches, that we're not sure what's going on outside of the trenches.
I guess let's just talk about the trenches.
Should we talk about the trenches?
Let's just talk about the trenches.
The issues we've had?
The issues, the failures, and the successes.
That sounds like a great idea.
Is successes a word?
I think it is.
Okay.
Not just success? More than one success.
Okay.
We have had two.
Successes?
Successes.
Okay, great.
A combined total of two, which puts us up on top.
Yeah.
But you know, before I get into that, the most important news is that this is now a podcast. So you can go to iTunes and you can download the podcast or follow the podcast, and you can listen to this in your car and when you're traveling, and it's a great way to listen and kind of catch up on the things that we're talking about. So check that out, podcast. Is it iTunes?
iTunes, yeah.
iTunes.
Get your podcast. I don't even know, because I think it is iTunes, but then you also have to download on your smartphone like a different app that will allow you to get to the podcasts.
The podcast app.
Mine's called Podcast.
That's what mine is.
I think Apple makes it.
But you download mine, I think, for me.
Yeah.
The podcast app.
So, but yeah, it's a podcast. I'm excited about the podcast aspect because that's one of my favorite things to do is listen to podcasts. Because I do a lot of traveling back and forth from the Arizona state. And so, you know, it's a 5.5 hour drive, and I get all my information, all my education, whether it be photography or what's going on in current news and even fun things. I get it all through podcasts. So.
Any photo or video podcasts? I'll turn my
there
phone
are.
off. Any of them that you would suggest for this group here? I mean, if you're listening to them all the time.
There's one called Tips from the Top Floor. But you know what? I'll be completely honest. With no disrespect to Tips from the Top Floor. It's not really. For me, it's a different level. It's just kind of like, and they only focus on one thing per episode, really. And they're very, very long episodes, and there's a lot of banter.
Oh, okay. So maybe we should pick up the pace. So we say.
Well, no. I like the banter. I like the talks. But for me, it's you know, they'll say, you know, oh, today's episode we're going to talk about full frame cameras, and then it takes 30 minutes to get to full frame cameras. And I'm more of like, you know, let's just talk.
Let's get into it.
Let's just, what's going on? What are you working on? And I think that was what was lacking for me in a podcast for any kind of photo or video applications. I want to know what people are doing. And so we made this.
Well, there you have it. Trends from the trenches. So let's talk about what we're doing. First off, Lars gets married in a week from Friday. From Saturday. 9 days he gets married.
So we took our bridals, because that's a popular thing to do now, so you're not stressed about it on the day of the wedding.
No more of this hiding the dress away until the day of. Old school.
Well, she hid the dress away until our bridals.
Well, there you go.
And so, so we put everything on, and we saw each other. We did our, like first look or whatever. And I put my ring on, and I haven't taken it off since. So I'm wearing my ring.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I even took it to China with me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Talk about China. You went to China?
I went to China.
Shot in China?
Shot in China, yeah. I went to China for a week and a half, 2 weeks before my wedding. That was a fun discussion to have.
Yeah, it was.
So went to China to do a couple music videos for a YouTube performer that I work with quite frequently. He got a sponsorship to go out there and do a fun little music video. It was really cool. We did this live show / music video thing. So they had this custom built stage with a 70-foot screen that was 2520 by 720 pixels. So it was 3.5 to 1 aspect ratio.
Oh my word.
So it was ultra wide. So that made it really fun for us to get creative and say, okay, well, we're going to have 2,500 people in this audience. What can we do? How can we use this full screen? Because everybody else that was doing video on it was 16 by 9, and they just had it in there.
In the center?
In the center, and then they had some like graphic behind it.
Oh, what a loss, man.
Such a loss. And when we got there and saw them putting this thing together, we just said, oh man, we got to use the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we had a red, and we had the C100s, and the style of these music videos is such that we have a lot of video in the frame, because he builds these beats as he goes along. He's called Fresh Big Mouth. And check him out. He's very talented.
Very talented. Great
very
guy.
Entertaining person to watch. Anyway, so we had these multiple videos, and we could actually use more than 1920 pixels wide, and it was just a blast. And the final video, watching it on that screen, was probably one of the highlights of my life.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Oh, very cool.
It was awesome. I mean, the 70-foot screen that was higher than 1920 by 1080 resolution, and what was even cooler than that is that it divided up into 7 parts. and so they would break away and they would come back together. So we did our main music video as it all came together, and then we had we shot a separate video where he actually builds the beat in 7 different versions of him. And so they started popping up on all these different screens.
Oh, that's very cool.
It was so neat.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
So it was a one-time show?
One-time live show.
Yeah. That was it. One-time live show, and that was it.
Yep. And the music video portion was great, and then the 7 Aaron hatches just did not work.
No?
It was not our fault, though. We had it so bulletproof. It was the video switcher. Something about there, and I know I'm just waiting for all the China manufacturing comments in this post, but to be fair, they were very, very competent and really professional and really awesome. I don't know what happened. The computer just kind of lost it. And
shut down.
It shut down. It did. So he got the first one up there because he points, and it's like this big moment, and it shows like 2 seconds of him, and then it just goes black. And it was like
it's like the blue screen of death.
Yeah, and you should see me because I filmed the performance, and my shot's like the shot of the screen, and all of a sudden the camera goes, and then it shuts off. Because I was like, what's going on? I gotta talk to these guys. But the actual music video we did was great. It was a next day edit, so it was really fast editing, fast turnaround, but the payoff was awesome. It was really fun.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I can't beat that. I was shooting pocket hose. The hose that grows. It was cooler than China, I'm telling you right now. This guy's a championship trick roper.
Okay.
But he's doing it with the pocket hose. That was a very creative concept, actually.
Yeah.
So it was fun to do. It was a great shoot. But we did the TSL lesson. It's up. It's up right now. It's the one that's about using small strobes to freeze the rope or blur the rope and all that kind of stuff. So, and I'm off to shoot Dog and Haas next week, which is all dog. It's a pretty cool kenneling facility in Park City, but we're shooting some great stuff on that. That'll be, and we've got a great kind of introductory piece for the company that's very artistic, and so we're shooting all the elements for that as well. So it'll be great. It'll be fun to see how that comes together.
So let me ask you, where did this client come from?
I met them actually through church.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're constantly looking for different options, different places, different social settings to look for business. And I think the church, for me and for you, probably is a really valuable place to find business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I tell people in the coaching class, the business coaching class that we do, going, you are crazy if you don't do 2 things. Everybody's business dies on 2 things. One is they don't carry cards or talk to all the people that they meet. Soccer people, when they go with their kids to play soccer. You're meeting people who need your services all the time. And so if you don't have cards, if you don't talk about it, and it's very easy to do, and maybe have I talked about this before on here?
No.
All you have to say is, hey, what do you do for a living? And after that, it's done, because they'll go, well, I'm a lawyer, and I work downtown for a big firm. What do you do? Well, I'm a videographer, and I specialize in shooting video of lawyers who work downtown.
I think we have talked about this, because the question I always ask is, what's your video presence?
That's right. Well, that's a great question.
What's your video presence?
Yeah.
And that just throws it all over to them, and then you can talk about, well, the YouTube, my generation, we love clicking play. And you can totally sell them on it, and they'll listen to you, and they'll love it, yeah. And everybody wants a video right now they can press play on.
So anyway, finding work. I don't know how we got on this topic here all of a sudden, but you know what? I think finding work in any industry, especially in photography and video, boils down to one thing: the person who will get on the phone and call 10 people every day will have a very, very, very healthy business. And that goes for me. I mean, when I don't do it and I'm not doing it, it just doesn't work.
So how often do you do it?
How often do I do it?
Or I guess
I think every day until you get busy, and then you get back to it when you get slow again.
Yeah.
And you keep making those calls. You call 10 people every day, and then you start doing follow-up calls. And you work the people you have. I mean, I have a client that came to us through someone else. It was like 2 layers removed. They've worked with us, did a great video series with them. Just got back from shooting a series with them up in Sacramento. But they, introduced us to another person in their coaching group. These are businesses who are doing, and they introduced us to another person in their coaching group, and we've been to Dallas, and I mean, it just grows in that way. But it grows on 2 levels. It's important that you are incredibly focused on client satisfaction, client service. You've got to deliver stuff on time. You've got to make sure people are happy. I mean, the most important thing you'll get from the client that you're working with is, hey, you should check these people out. They do great work.
Yeah.
And so if the client service isn't there, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, which brings me up to the nightmare that I had this last week.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, sound. I hate sound.
It's true. He does.
I do. I hate it because I just know enough to get by, and I need to understand it more and deeper. So I have a couple of great people. We're going to do a whole series on sound. So I really want to get the ins and outs and the depth of sound. And so it's going to be these two are crazy. It's your weird uncle that you only let out of the closet on Wednesdays, and another guy who's even weirder, who's a stand-up comedian. So it ought to be pretty good.
So, okay, so talk to us a little bit about, talk to me about some of the disasters you had.
Well, we did a dumb thing. We were using the Zoom recorders, and we got a card in there, and we're not formatting the card. So we're pulling the stuff out, we're downloading it, we're just putting the card back in after we take the stuff off. So I think the card got buggy, so we started to lose files. So, and this is how rash I am. We lost a file, I got back on, we're working, we lost another file. And I mean, we're on set, and the guy's going, well, I hit record, and I'm going, I couldn't tell if the sound person just didn't hit record or what happened. So I'm going, I sent the guy right then, go down and buy a new Zoom N6 right now. I want you back here, H6, yeah. I want you back here in 30 minutes. So we just bought a new Zoom recorder. But then the next mistake we made was we took the card out of the old Zoom recorder, just shoved it into the new Zoom recorder, which is a different formatting process, and it folderized all the old files, and I think we lost something in that. I mean, I was just freaked out by the end. Never again. I mean, I always two sources, and I do love this new Zoom recorder, though. It is fabulous.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, you got 4 inputs. You can adjust the volume on each of the inputs. I mean, it's just fabulous. So.
How's it? I mean, how's the headroom or sound quality? I guess if you haven't noticed anything, then it's doing fine.
It's fabulous. It really is good.
Yeah.
It's very strong. The only thing about it is a workflow thing that Alla just hates, and that is it takes every take and puts it into a new folder.
Yes, that would bug me a little bit, I think.
It's kind of, you got to dig through all these folders, and I think the reason it does that is because you got 4 inputs, and so if you got 3 sources or 2 sources on set,
you would want them to be
it puts
separate.
them together so you know that it's the same take, you know, that they're together, that they're the same. So I guess that makes sense, but I don't know. It is absolutely, it's worth. It was $400. It's H6. It's absolutely worth the money.
Yeah,
it's much better than the old H4. I mean, it's so much better.
Yeah, I went the Tascam route. And to be completely honest, I haven't used it ever since I got the C100s.
It's got the C100 guy here.
I know. Here we go again, right?
That's true.
You know, I had a scare.
I know who was on your shoot in China because the C100s were there and the red was there. That means you and Skylar were there.
Me and Skylar were there. Actually, we used my red. We didn't use Skylar's.
Oh, you
red.
did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was. Skylar was there, and we needed him because Skylar is an awesome editor, and
he is.
And he just, I mean, he did this next day edit. You'll have to see the video because it's when you see it, you go, how did he do that in a day? How did he do it? Because he's at some point, I think he's got 20 video tracks.
Oh my!
Going something like ridiculous like that, and it's a different format. I mean, we were experimenting, and then we were color correcting to their LED screen. So it was like, I mean, a lot of it was just guessing. Yeah. At the end, I mean, we spent 2 full days working on just the technical live show.
Yeah.
And by that I mean 2 full days. We got 2 hours of sleep the last night. So, I mean, it was a lot of work, but it really paid off in the end. I was really
So is this up somewhere where you can see it?
No, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to post this one since it was more of a sponsorship. But we did shoot another one that he is going to post in China. So that one will go up. I think he's still trying to decide on the other one. So I'd be kind of bummed if it doesn't go up because
you want to see it.
It was really cool.
You have it out there.
So, but I had a kind of a big scare. It wasn't sound related. I shot a wedding with Tor, another guy we shoot with, a couple months ago, and went to start editing it this week. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I couldn't find any of his reception footage. The entire reception from Tor, and I was on Glidecam the entire night, so it's just a bunch of wide-angle moving shots, and I couldn't possibly edit a reception with just, here's another wide-angle moving shot, and cut to another wide-angle moving shot, and there was so much detail that I just relied on him to go get, and for whatever reason, I did not have this footage. I had another folder in there of a duplicate footage from the day before, from the ceremony.
Oh, no, that even makes you more nervous.
It makes you so nervous.
my.
I mean, it's like, so you have these, anyway, so I called Tor immediately and I said, I know this is just so far removed from your life right now, but do you by any chance have footage from this date, from this wedding? And he says, I shouldn't, but let me check. And he did.
Oh my.
He had it. He, for whatever reason,
chances?
I know, he had saved it. So I'm calling it a miracle.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely
just,
a
you know
miracle.
what? Whatever doubts I've had before, they are removed, and I'm a believer. But so this was like, I mean, it was just the most. So you have experiences like this, whether it's sound or whether backing up your files, and you tell yourself never again. And honestly, that is the only way I know to learn these things.
Well, the gravity of these things,
Yeah.
little things you do. Like my workflow, so that I know I haven't missed anything, is I don't like using anyone else's cameras. I mean, even when your camera comes on set,
Yeah.
because I know on the last shoot I ended on this number on my 2 Mark IIIs.
Oh wow.
And if on the next shoot I don't start on that number, I'm going, where did that footage go?
Oh wow. Yeah.
And then I put them in folder by every time I empty a card, and I keep doing the numbers on the folders, so I track the numbers. So I always know, well, I just put in a card, where's the numbers between there? So I'm anal about, I want to see all the numbers line up, and I want to see it jump to the next job, so that I know that there's nothing missing.
Yeah, because I'm
So
sure you've had a bad experience in the
Oh
past.
my word, absolutely. I mean, it's like things get left on the card, or they get erased. Oh, I don't know. It's just crazy.
My sister.
Worst. Oh, sorry.
We've got so many
You
bad
got so many
experiences.
bad stories. This is what we call the bad story. I'll tell you, I have 2 bad stories.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh, my sister's a photographer, and she hasn't been doing it for very long, and she took mine and Caitlin's engagement photos. And for whatever reason, a card went missing, and we had a third instead of 100% of our engagement photos that we had to choose from. And she was...
This just happened?
This happened back in February.
Oh, okay.
She was beside herself.
Oh, yeah.
And, and
It's always
luckily...
the great stuff that was on there, too, right?
Right, exactly.
And that's how you
yes,
feel, anyway.
Yeah. Luckily, though, she was family, and we were able to make it work regardless. I think you probably got an invitation. The photo is fun, and it works, and it's fun.
Absolutely.
But she's lucky that she learned her lesson this way.
Yeah.
But everybody, it's like a rite of passage. You have to learn your lesson somehow, and she was fortunate that it was family, but it made her sick enough that she's never going to do it again.
Well, I go so far as I have 2 drives, and I'd load everything down every night when we're shooting out on location, and then I back it up while I'm sleeping to the other drive, and then I keep one of those in my briefcase, and then if Jalene's traveling with me, I'll send one with her in her suit or her briefcase. Or if I'm only me, I don't want to leave it in one place, so I'll put one maybe in my suitcase. So at least there are 2 different places. So if I leave my briefcase sitting somewhere, like an idiot, at least I've got it somewhere else. So you can't back the stuff up enough.
Yeah.
But here's the worst story. Not the worst, but I was asked, this is back in the days of film, and I was asked to shoot this guy's 40th birthday party. So, oh, you're a photographer, you're from Art Center, you can shoot my 40th birthday party. So huge shindig at the restaurant and everything. I shot all night, thinking, wow, I'm getting a lot of frames on this roll of film. And I look like 2/3 of the night and I'm going, I open up and the film never caught on the wheels and such. So I hadn't taken one picture, not one picture. Oh. And so I had to apologize. I am so sorry. I am such an idiot.
What did he do?
Nothing. It was done. It was gone. He's going, well, I'm sure glad I got the really good photographer from Art Center to come and take my pictures.
Was he pretty upset?
Yeah, he was pretty decent about it, but
okay.
He probably went home. So what an idiot.
Yeah.
That was one. Another one, we were shooting a wedding, and we went in. We were at the very end of the wedding. I did camera work for weddings when I was at Art Center. We had just finished the wedding, and there's just a last shot, and the guy with me goes, hey, I'm going to run back out to the car. I'm going to get another roll of film. Give me all your film. Takes all the film, runs out of the car, throws it in the trunk, brings in a fresh roll to roll into the camera. And when he gets there, I roll in the camera. We shoot a couple of shots. We walk outside to get into the car to leave. There's no car. He's going, my car was right here. Oh. And he left the keys in the trunk. He was in such a hurry, and some kids sitting there stole the car. And so he had dumped the entire wedding, all the film, into the car. Well, we never got the footage back. They found the car, but they had thrown the bags who knows where.
Yeah.
So at 10:30 p.m. or 11:30 p.m., when the wedding's all done, we got the whole wedding party and drug them back to the church and got the minister back and tried to restage their wedding at the church.
Okay, but see here, that to me right there is the difference. So I think a lot of people take these things and they give up, or they just go, well, oh well. But then there's, I mean, so that to me just tells a story. You guys get everybody back in there and you do what you can to get, just give them something, man.
Got to give them something. Yeah, you can't just walk away going, well, sorry.
And your car is gone. Your car is stolen.
Yeah, we had no car. We had no transportation. So we had to
wild.
catch a ride to the reception. It was just, anyway. But, you know, that's the digital world. Someone said to me, you know, isn't it cool, you know, you can shoot with film, you know, the whole kind of hipster thing. And I'm going, yeah, there's absolutely nothing cool about that whatsoever. I mean, the reason there's technological advances is because now I can see it and I know it's working. It's on the card and I can download it and I can back it up immediately. Yeah, there's nothing cool about film.
We are going to get some negative comments on that one.
Yes, we are.
Absolutely. Because that's my generation. Everyone's like, I mean, and I did hear something cool about film. Because I just talked, my photographers that are shooting my wedding, we're talking, they have a couple kids and they're just an adorable family. And they said, you know, when we go on vacation, we only shoot film. I said, why? And they said, because think about it. When was the last time you took a bunch of family photos and then went to Walmart and printed them out?
People don't do that anymore.
They don't. They put them on a computer, and that computer hard drive gets full, and they transfer it to a backup drive, and it sits on a shelf or in a drawer forever, and you just don't ever see those photos. And so they said, you know, we shoot only film. We take those rolls straight to Walgreens or wherever, and we develop them, and then we have them physically, and we can put them in picture frames. We can put them up the walls. We can display them on our, you know, boards or whatever. And that to me, I heard that and I went, well, that makes perfect sense. And it made me halfway want to start thinking about the possibility of shooting film.
Well, how about the concept that's going on there? Because the concept that's going on there is that with our iPhones, we just snap off a bunch of dumb shots, the light's bad and everything is awful. But if you're shooting film, you're going, well, I only got X number of shots here. So you go, let's get everyone together. We're going to get a nice shot here. We're going to do that. You become more deliberate about the pictures you take, and you make much better pictures. So maybe the concept is, you know, to slow down, use a real camera, and to take some decent images, and you know, and then print them out. I think it's a great thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. And then sometimes, you know, I mean, with iPhones, you're right. You just kind of click.
Man, I hate iPhones worse than I hate film.
You get a film camera and you put it up there and you go, I don't really need this shot.
Yeah.
I mean, put it down. I have a 35 millimeter film camera. I just don't. I've had it roll in there for who knows how long. It's probably got all sorts of red and stuff in it. It's destroyed, I'm sure. But
yeah. I had a guy who worked with me for years. Sorry about this there. I won't say his name. Anyway, they didn't have enough money to process all the film from their wedding. So 10 years later, they were sending a roll in every month.
No way. 10 years
10
after
years
his
later.
wedding.
I'm going, my word, Rick. You're never going to... I just said his name.
There it is.
I think eventually, I don't know, eventually film died. I shouldn't say I hate film because it is, I shot on film for years and years and years. But think about this. You spend $50,000 to take one image of a group of people. So you got $12,000 in talent. You've got a set you've built. You've got everyone there on one place, and you're shooting Polaroids going, oh, I think it's going to look like this on film. And you shoot 50 or 60 or 100 sheets of 4x5 film, and then you just pray that it's going to work, man. I mean, you got it, that's stress to me. That, you know, that is a lot of stress. And so when you do a digital thing and you can look at it, going, man, that is amazing.
Yeah.
So it's not that I hate film. I shot on film forever, but I hate the stress associated with that whole process.
That makes sense. I guess from a commercial standpoint, it makes complete sense to never shoot film again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't do it for a job. I was trying to... But it is a cool hipster thing to do. You know?
And it's a medium format thing is still kind of popular in weddings.
Just like 3D glasses. Don't get me started on 3D glasses.
I'm not going
I got started. Yeah. Sorry. Well, hey, I have something else on here I want to bring up. Kessler had a couple of things that came out at NAB that we didn't talk about that I thought were very cool. They've got a new, it's called the UniDrive, and it's $700. Gives you the same capabilities as your electronic head, so you get full motion, you know, to be able to pan your camera, to move your camera. But it's $700, and you can use it on the cine sliders. You can use it on. I mean, it really is a great piece of equipment for $700. That, you know, their other drives are quite a bit more expensive. So if you want to really be able to, remotely, remote head to pan your stuff, it has all the equations for doing time lapse. If you want to move a certain distance on the slider, say I want to move 3 feet in 4 hours, then you just plug that in.
So you can do your pans and tilts and stuff. You can program them and say, I want you to move this way for 4 hours.
And you can repeat your moves. If you say, here's my move, you can repeat it on there. So it does a lot of the very same things that their high-end head does, but for a very reasonable price.
So what's the weight limitation on it? Do you know?
It's a 2 or 3 axis system. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. That'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, it would be a good thing to know.
If you find out what the weight limitation of that unit, what is it called?
It's called the UniDrive from Kessler.
UniDrive from Kessler, let us know.
There you go.
Comment in the comment.
There you go. There's another thing that they just sent it to me, and I'll do a review. We'll try to do a little lesson on it, but it's called a Nero, N-E-R-O. Does that sound right? NeroTrigger?
I've never heard of it. What is it?
It's a trigger that you can trigger your camera for doing stills with either light, so a bright light, or infrared. You put a beam up, you aim it at the sensor on the camera, and anything that breaks the infrared triggers the camera.
Huh.
So if an animal runs by, if a runner runs by, anything, you can set that up so that every time it breaks that infrared, it sets the shutter off. It also does sound. It does sound, light, laser, and it had one that's called a DIY. And it's kind of, you can create your own way to trigger this thing. Huh. And so
what are some examples?
I was looking on their website going, what is it? It's a one-man band trigger. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's a great. I'm going to take and test it. We're going to try to do some things where the old things where you shoot through eggs and all that kind of stuff. And just see what it looks like. What
shoot
it does.
Through eggs.
Like you got a bullet, so you see the egg exploding.
Okay.
So you can capture that with photography with something like this because you'll do either a sound, and so the bullet travels so fast, so when it hits, or you do the light, so when it crosses the light, or the infrared when the bullet crosses. I mean, there's several things you can do.
Wow.
So you can catch the bullet as it just comes out of exploding an egg or something, or a balloon that pops. It'll trigger on that sound, that loud pop. You can shoot things like that. So.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a great piece of equipment, something we'll be looking at. I have coming up here, I'm really very interested in this. From my background, I used kind of pro mists and black mist and all these kinds of filters back when we shot film all the time, especially in the 80s into the 90s. It was the look, that really soft, dreamy, focused look was really in. We've gone sharper and sharper and sharper and sharper to the point that Hasselblad now has a thing on there that goes degrade lens, basically is what it says. Make skin look better, because it's so sharp that people just look awful. So they're kind of, as a workflow process, Tiffin's made a whole series of Pro Mist and Black Mist filters. We're going to do a test on all those and show what they do on skin and how they will soften skin. And it kind of becomes a workflow decision for photographers that if you're shooting all kinds of like headshots or something, it will just soften out the skin and it makes the retouching a lot easier. You don't have to go heavy with it. It doesn't necessarily soften out the background. They're really more on the highlights and the skin. And so we're going to do some tests on those.
Yeah, so I noticed I usually put those in when I have hard light, hard source, whether it's backlight or a front light source. But it just really helps to kind of even out the highlight edges on the skin. Yeah, but when I have a really soft source, it just kind of makes everything look pretty hazy.
Oh yeah,
cloudy.
It's really hazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, they're very effective. I love using filters. Yeah.
The idea is though you can just kiss it with a little bit. It'll soften out the skin and it makes the retouching go a lot faster. Your workflow will go a little faster. So that's the thought. I have something I should pull out and shoot. I have a thing called a hose master.
Oh no, back to the hose.
Back to the hose. Woohoo! Pocket hose. The hose grows.
Stop. That must have been such a fun set.
It was such a fun set.
I'm kind of sad I was there, but then I remember I was in China.
That's right. How sad could you be?
I'm not very sad. The hose that grows.
We had this guy dressed like Tom Mix with the big furry chaps.
Yeah?
Blue shirt. It was hilarious. Anyway, the Hose Master was this great piece of equipment we used back in the 80s, and it has the ability to sync different strobes using different diffusions in front of the camera. So it's a spinning wheel that has 4 different diffusions on it, and when it goes through this rotation and you hit the shutter, it exposes the different strobes on set with different diffusions. So you can make a really diffused background and more sharp foreground. It's called the Hose Master. It was pretty cool. I had one. I had to have one. and I have it in a Pelican case
Somewhere?
sitting somewhere.
Do you know about where it is?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
It's
great.
right over there.
Oh, cool.
Turbo filter.
Turbo
That's what it's
filter.
called. Turbo filter.
Not the hose.
I think it was the hose
Master.
master actually, the one who. Anyway, but that soft focus, it's going to come back in because we've gone to the era of sharp, sharp, sharp. You have to, you're going to go back into softer, and it just has to happen. So.
Yeah, I was just reading an article today about the sharpness of the GH4
Oh yeah.
Panasonic camera compared to the Red Epic. And they're saying it's sharper.
They're saying it's sharper.
It's sharper. That's what they're saying, and they're probably right. But like you said,
Yeah.
it's like, well, at what point do we go? Okay,
Yeah.
we like the look of film. We like the look of cinema because it does soften things out. And it's, and I guarantee you that if you're doing anything with a human being in it, you're going to take it to your colorist, and the first thing they're going to do is soften the skin tones.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's just, well, that's the interesting thing. It's those two are battling each other. Did we talk about like the new Sony cameras last time?
Yes, the A7S.
Well, the principle, and it crossed my mind when you said this, is that they're saying that you can't get a really good video camera when you're trying to make it into a still camera, because when you do 24 megapixel sensor, it's too much information to get a 4K camera and to make it look good. And so when they get rid of that option and you only get this lower end megapixel, they can make a really good 4K camera. I'm not explaining this well enough, and I need to research
It makes some sense because, really what all these DSLR format cameras have done in the past, because, you've got the 5D Mark III, which is a 23 megapixel sensor, and it takes 23 megapixel images, which is a 5K something by whatever. When you down-res that, there is some processing that it's a heavy load that you're putting on the camera processor, and yeah, you lose a lot of that ability to just create just a solid image based on the sensor.
Yeah.
I think is what we're trying to figure out.
I think we should talk more about that, because it was interesting to me, so they're basically saying, this whole idea that you have a still camera and a video camera, throw that out the door, because the idea is you want to have a good camera that shoots stills, but you can have a very small, lightweight camera that will do 4K video, and it's not going to be your best still camera, because it's really set to do that. But it still has the big sensor, still has that large sensor, shallow depth of field, and it gives you, what you want for the 4K camera. So
yeah.
That's what they've done. Their 4K camera is not a high-end megapixel camera. It's not a 23 megapixel camera.
Is it a 4K strictly video camera, or is it?
Well, it takes stills, but it's really meant to be a video camera.
Is this the A7S?
Yes, the new one that just came out.
The little guy?
Yeah.
The little full-frame mirrorless camera?
4K camera. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
So I'm talking above my head here. I need to get a little more information.
We did mention it last time
I
that I went and played with the ISOs, which just blew my mind. Because I was watching it on a 45-inch TV or something like that, 46 inches, and we cranked it all the way to 409,000. It's just beautiful.
Well, I see it everywhere. I was at the mall the other day, and I saw no less than 8 or 10 huge billboards for Sony's 4K camera, 4K TV.
Wow.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They're pushing it on TV and ads, and it's the big push, the big 4K cameras.
Christmas.
And everyone's going, but there's nothing to show on it, But it goes to 11.
It goes to 11.
It does.
My thought, and we've talked about this a billion times, but my thought is Blu-ray, the format, will introduce very soon a 4K codec that will work with Blu-ray format. And I don't even know if they're going to need to, I guess they probably will need to upgrade the actual Blu-ray player.
Probably, but those have gotten so cheap that that's not a big deal.
It's not. So that's what I foresee happening. H.265 in a Blu-ray format.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And then, of course, Apple TV will have to get on the 4K codec, which will then entail Netflix, and Amazon will do it, and Hulu will do it.
Well, and then the pressure comes. We've talked about that before. So, what's something we haven't talked about before? Anything going on right now?
Let's see. What else am I shooting? I'm doing 2 feature docs still. I shot one of them. I was shooting one of them earlier today, and just all your sound woes disappear in an instant when you have built-in XLRs.
The whole pluralize thing. Although the editor that's working on the commercial we're doing saying he's having trouble with pluralize because we do the same take over and over again, so it's the same dialogue. and it's similar enough that he claims it's starting to match pluralize different. I don't know if he just doesn't quite understand pluralize. I've never heard that as an issue.
I just don't see that happening because no matter how similar the takes are, the frequency, the waveform is going to be different no matter what, because there's different volume intensities and there's different. So I mean, that to me just doesn't make a lot of sense. What does make sense is that maybe the camera mic didn't quite pick up the sound loud enough, and so it's not really short, so it's guessing. Because there's two features inside pluralize. One is called try really hard. That's really what it's called. And then the other one is leveling. So it will actually take all of your audio sources, peak the audio, level it, so that everything is as loud as it could possibly be before distortion, and then it looks at the files, and it does a lot better. So if I am having issues in pluralize, I'm just going, it's just not syncing, it's not seeing it, then I'll change it and say level my audio, and it will, and it takes a little bit longer, but it always does a much better job.
Yeah. Well, I've gotten lazy. We don't slate.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't slate, and so this editor's going, what? You don't slate, It takes time to slate, but, we're going to probably have to go back to slating again just so we have some reference, but when we're shooting pocket hose. The hose that grows. The
hose that grows. That will be the secret word for today.
The secret word today is
somehow, oh, this is a disaster. But somehow you got to implement the hose that grows.
This is a total disaster.
I'm so excited for this one. I am.
Oh, no.
I'm excited.
Keep it family friendly.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
And get the podcast.
Get the podcast. Yeah, podcast.
We've been really terrible at putting these episodes up on our podcast because we have a page, we just haven't been doing it. But that's all changing tonight.
That's it.
Yep. Get the podcast.
Once we get Lars married and get our life back together, it's been really busy. So there's lots of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's lots of stuff to talk about. We'll be back. I'm trying to get a helicopter from a company that I've been working with for some slanted lens stuff, which I'm very excited about. Going to Monument Valley with the Dactyl Cam guys. So taking the Dactyl Cam, we're going to try to do some sweeping mile-long shots through Monument Valley. That's the goal. And so it's just crazy, crazy stuff. So all that stuff's coming up in the next month here.
All right. Cool.
All right. Well, this has been Lars and JP. So keep those cameras rolling. Keep on clicking. For the whole month of May until June 4th, we're giving away 3 Glidecam 2000s. We're also giving away 1 portable portrait kit from PhotoFlex. These great small octadomes, you can put your speed light on them. It's stands, brackets, and octadomes. It's a great little portrait kit you can use out on location. Mine is excellent because you can see where the horse blew his nose on ours when we were shooting out for the lesson that we did today. Mine is a special horse snot edition. You won't get that one, unfortunately, but mine has that. So don't forget, 3 Glidecam 2000s and a portable portrait kit from PhotoFlex. You have until June 4th. Go to theslantedlens.com where you can sign up and enter to win. We got a lot of great stuff coming in the next few months. Our business coaching class comes up real soon, so get on our newsletter. It's at theslantedlens.com. Great information about photography, photographic lighting. We hope to make life easier for you, to give you the information and the tools you need to be able to be successful in your business. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We also have a brand new webpage they just put up. A lot of great information there, easy to use. Go to theslantedlens.com. We're now posting all of our videos first on theslantedlens.com before they hit YouTube. They'll be on there for about a week to 2 weeks before they come to YouTube. So if you want to see them first, go to theslantedlens.com. So keep those cameras rolling, keep on clicking.